what does it mean to have tolerance? Let us start with that.
Yeah, a very interesting topic. We would discuss this when we're discussing multicultural, multi-religious environments and how people of different faith can come together to live in peace. And then the reason this comes up is like a reaction to a particular extreme. And oftentimes, if one is not wise enough, your reaction to an extreme will lead to another extreme. So when our society passed through a lot of upheavals, maybe even an euphemistic way of putting it. People lost their lives when there's religious conflict, whether it's up north, whether it's down south, wherever it may be, where people are killed and lose their life just because of sharing a different faith or come from a different tribe. So when people see this and then they feel that, look, why are we doing this? Let us tolerate ourselves. Then we talk about tolerance, then at times some would go to the opposite extreme of what you call religious compromise. You water down all the boundaries and say, well, we are the same thing, we do the same thing, then let us not have any difference between us.
Let's put our differences aside.
No, that is not tolerance. In fact, it's actually the opposite of tolerance. Tolerance is me understanding that my next door neighbor shares a different faith from mine, and he has freedom to worship God in the way he wants to, because I'm not responsible for him. I'm also not I'm not an apparatus of the state, and I have freedom to practice my faith in such a way that will not encroach on his or her rights. And it can be as basic as food. Like I had an experience in the north. It was Salah, as I call it in the north, and one of the brothers brought meat for us, and then we were about close to 10 youth couples, Muslim, Christian. Everybody accepted the meat. There were northern Christians that they took the meat, but there was a lady who said that no, she was not going to eat it because the Muslims say something and she does. Yeah, I did not feel anything about it because she felt that this was against her faith and she could not compromise her faith. Yes. It is not a problem in any way or sense. Everybody has a right in the environment we find ourselves to decide on how he wants to worship his or her creator in a way that will not affect the other, because that is the way we are in this particular section of this particular section of the world. And when I say this, I'm not saying that Islam does not preach what we call salvific exclusivity. Big word. What it means is that as far as Islam is concerned, it believes that it is the only path to salvation. But when I believe that Islam is the only path to salvation, the context I am in, I cannot decide to force anybody to accept Islam. So, and what Allah says? Allah says, "La yanhakumullahu 'anil ladina lam yuqatilukum fid din wa lam yukhrijukum min diyarikum an tabarruhum wa tuqsitu ilayhim innallaha yuhibbu al-muqsitin." Allah has not made it forbidden on you for you to be just and kind to those who do not wage war on you or chase you from your homes, even if they have another faith. So, where this tolerance has now led us is for people to knock off all differences. It's the same God. No, we don't claim to worship the same God, right? We believe in Tawheed. The Christian believes in Trinity. The Yoruba person believes in a multiplicity of gods. Yeah. And then I tell people that, look, what you are saying doesn't work in Islam, doesn't work in Christianity. In Islam, you find Allah saying that inna dina inda Allahi al-Islam. Islam is the only accepted religion. And in Christianity, in John 3:16, God also loved the world and he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And this is at variance with Muslim belief. We don't believe God as a child.
Yes.
We don't believe that Jesus Christ was divine. So you let people know our differences and let them know that yes, we respect ourselves.
For you is your religion.
Yeah. Lakum dinukum.
This is your religion, that's my religion.
There are some people that have this belief that as Muslims we are commanded to kill non-Muslims. In fact, the numbers of non-Muslims that we kill will earn us more reward, and we'll be given virgins in the Jannah. Can you please correct that?
there's a background to this that we may not be able to cover. The background itself is not a problem. Then the faulty understanding. Number one, when we talk about the non-Muslim, we're talking about three to four categories of people, right? So non-Muslims, we have non-Muslims who are deemed to be dhimmi or mu'ahad. That is somebody who lives with me under a general agreement of peace, right? This person has equal right with me based on that agreement that we had operating between us. An example is the Prophet ﷺ coming to Medina and drawing up an agreement that allowed him and the non-Muslims, mushrikun, polytheists, and then the Jews to live peacefully in Medina. And we have the non-Muslim who is a harbi. We have no agreement of peace. We are at war, right? So what these people do is this. They take those verses of the Quran that talks about war and then implement it on the average non-Muslim, right? And this problem is one that always occurs when there's crisis. What the Prophet said is this: anyone, I mean, it's an explicit statement of the Prophet. You find it in Abu Dawood, you find it, I think, also in Ibn Majah, that if you harm a non-Muslim citizen of an Islamic state, I am going to be your opponent in Qiyamah. And it's an explicit statement of the Prophet. The verse I said earlier also is found in the Quran, Quran 60 verse 6 or 8 or 9. You read it. When it says, La yanhakumullahu an ladhina lam yuqatilukum fid din. If somebody is not hostile to you, you are not supposed to show the person hostility. Right? And then we have people also on the opposite extreme who say that, well, there is no such thing as violence in Islam. This is also false. Islam is not a pacifistic faith. Yeah. Islam does not say that there's peace at all costs. There are contexts in which violence is permissible. Say somebody decides that I want to be pacifistic and I slap your right cheek and you turn the left. If I slap your child, your 5-year-old child, you're going to drop your pacifism. So there are contexts in which violence is allowed. The problem with people who have these thoughts, the people who believe that you just kill anybody, is the fact that they strip this of any context and they kill. In fact, they kill more Muslims than they kill non-Muslims. I was once on a TV show and I said, look, they kill more Muslims. And the person said, no, that's not the case. And I went back home and looked at statistics again. They killed more. Boko Haram killed far more Muslims than non-Muslims because they believe it's the truth. They were bombing mosques. Because they believe that the Muslims in the mosques are infidels for not sharing that particular.
I remember there was one of these.
The same thing with ISIS. ISIS would go to the house of Christians and mark it as with an N. They don't give Muslims that privilege. They shoot them, they gun them down. So and this is what the Prophet Islam described them. يقتلون أهل الإسلام ويتركون أهل الأوثان. So they are a cancer that one has to intellectually battle. And usually it is found amongst young people who are more zealous than knowledgeable about the thing. Rarely do you find knowledgeable and elderly people within their midst.
It's quite unfortunate what's happening up north. And
what happened in Sokoto the other time that they actually killed the girl because she insulted the Prophet.
No, that's an issue of blasphemy. Different ballgame.
That's also is a different thing entirely. Look, yeah, Sheikh, let's talk about red flags. Red flags that there are non-Muslims listening to our show, you know, and they have been giving us feedbacks, you know. So what are the red flags that they should understand and then shouldn't cross, especially on social media?
Look, it's not really about red flags, but about boundaries and respecting boundaries. It's like, and for Muslims, we are told these things. Allah says, وَلَا تَسُبُّ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّ اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بَغِيًّا. I cannot insult any deity that a person holds dear. If the mushrik. If the mushriks are worshiping Shango, I'm not supposed to insult him. If we're going to have a discussion and debate, we're going to have an intellectual discussion, intellectual debate. And across history, right, Muslims have been having these debates with people, Buddhists, Christians. In fact, the debate between Islam and Christianity has been the longest one, because we have people civilization, entire civilizations between the two faiths.
Yes.
So it has been a long running one. You don't find Muslims come out and say, okay, you must kill people who debate with you, right? They debate with them. But when you start insulting people's beliefs, then you would exacerbate, you would ignite people's passion.
Yeah.
At the same time, even if one's passion was ignited, there is a judicial process, right? The major problem we have is vigilantism, whereby you decide that I'm going to buy the gun and cutlass myself and carry out. There's no judicial process. You can't take the laws into your own hands. This is a major problem, and this also is a problem of the Nigerian states, whereby we allow people to take laws into their. I mean, it happens based on religious issues in the north. It happens on flimsy things in the southwest. I've been in a police station once, and the person was beaten inside the police station. He was already naked. He said he wanted to kidnap somebody. Where is the person? They couldn't find. How did he? They couldn't find. And the man was fortunate that he came to a police station. He would have been beaten to death. So where we do not have sufficient confidence in the rule of law, problems, mob action of this nature would always occur. So it's about respecting each other's faith and discussing in an atmosphere of respect. I'm a Muslim. I believe Islam is the only way to salvation. If I want to convince anybody, I have to debate him, convince him. If he accepts, fine. If he does not accept, lakum dinukum, you have a faith and I have mine.